Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of the Commissioner's Couch podcast. My name is David Cahoon, and that is my friend Ryan Mosser. How you doing, man?
Doing all right, man. Stressful day, but I'm excited to talk some fantasy football with you, brother.
Yeah, same. This is honestly like one of the highlights of my week, so I'm very much looking forward to it. Well, we had a very crazy, hectic week 3.
Hold on, real quick.
Yeah.
We are sponsored by the Inside Edge Network, LVP Productions, and then Monster Moments Photography. They're a husband and wife photography team based out of Cleveland. MonsterMomentsPhotography.com, MOSSOR momentsphotography.com. Okay, now start. Jeez.
I always forget that every week, I feel like. Well, yes, we are sponsored by those lovely corporations. But yeah, week 3 was a wild week, full of lots of ups and downs and a lot of injuries. Again, I'm noticing a theme here for these
it's
football,
awful.
early weeks of football. Would you like to go into the injury report for us?
Yeah, bear with me. There's a lot. Just reminding everyone, today is Wednesday. We are recording live, so we want to put this out before the Thursday night game and obviously the other game. So, there may be more injuries added to this list, or they are subject to change. But these are the injuries as of today, Wednesday, before Week 4 Thursday Night Football. So, James Conner was placed on IR with a foot injury. He's gonna be out for the season. Trey Benson will replace him. Isaiah Likely is questionable. Xavier Legette is questionable. Tet McMillan missed practice today due to a calf injury. Cam Ward was limited at practice today due to an ankle and calf injury. Jatavian Sanders, a tight end for the Panthers, is doubtful for this week. Colston Loveland, the tight end for the Bears, is questionable. DeAndre Swift was limited in practice today with a hip injury. Samaje Perine, the backup for the Bengals, was questionable with a thumb injury, but he's not ruled out for week 4 yet. Noah Fant was questionable with a concussion. Nico Collins was limited today at practice with a knee injury. Joe Burrow's on IR, probably out for the year. CeeDee Lamb, doubtful, expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain. That's a huge blow to a lot of
He got rolled up on, right?
Yeah, it did not look fun. So he'll be out 3 to 4 weeks, and then he'll be evaluated. Evan Ingram was questionable for the week. Jaden Reed's on IR with his collarbone. Joe Mixon is out. His GM declined to answer if he played this season. So, I mean, if it's redraft, I would just not own Joe Mixon at this point.
Yeah.
Alec Pierce is questionable with a concussion. Diami Brown was questionable with a shoulder injury. Xavier Worthy has been switched from questionable to healthy, and he was a full participant in practice today. So watch that. I don't know if he's going to play, but at least he's on the right track to play. So Michael Meyer, questionable with a head injury. Najee Harris is out for the season. He tore his Achilles. Will Dissly is questionable. Cole Kmet. What's that?
I said Najee Harris. His looked rough.
Yeah, that's sad. Cole Kmet limited with a groin injury. Darren Waller questionable. He hasn't played all season. JJ McCarthy is out. He won't travel with the team to Ireland, so he will not play with the Steelers. Aaron Jones is on IR. Tyrone Tracy is doubtful with a dislocated shoulder. He's expected to miss 2 to 4 weeks. Cam Scatterby will replace him. Justin Fields is questionable. Juwan Jennings is questionable with the ankle. Ricky Pearsall was out of practice today with a knee injury. Brock Purdy is questionable. Mac Jones is questionable with a knee injury, did not practice today. So both quarterback and backup quarterback for the 49ers could possibly be out this week. Brandon Ayuk is out, but he did do some running while his teammates were practicing today. So that's something to monitor, that he's actually running on the field.
Progress.
Yeah, Mac Jones' injury was a PCL sprain, by the way. George Kittle's on IR. Elijah Aurora, the tight end for the Seahawks, questionable with a groin injury, limited practice today. Mike Evans is doubtful, expected to miss multiple weeks with a hamstring injury. Chris Godwin's questionable, but he was a full participant in practice today, so that's some good news that should be coming soon for him. Terry McLaurin, questionable, injured quadriceps. Availability for the game is up in the air. Reports today said that he was visiting a core muscle injury specialist to evaluate significance of his injury. So that's something to monitor, but that obviously doesn't sound good.
No, not at all.
Jaden Daniels, questionable knee injury, limited participant in practice today. Devontae Adams is questionable. Bill Krosky-Merritt held out of practice today for a knee injury.
No, Bill.
We'll see. I don't know, but I haven't heard anything else other than just today. Maybe it's precautionary, but something to monitor. Kyle Pitts limited practice with a toe injury. Malik Neighbors was out of practice today with a shoulder injury. Graham Gano, the Giants kicker, out of practice with a groin injury. Theo Johnson missed practice with a toe injury. Josh Jacobs limited practice with an ankle injury. And finally, Tucker Kraft, injury to his knee and elbow, was limited in practice today. So that was like 50 dudes, man. That was overkill almost. But, yeah, a lot of significant injuries in fantasy lineups for this week, week 4 of the NFL fantasy football season.
That's wild. I feel like we're not even in, like, the hard stretch of, like, oh, this is the middle of the season where everybody's banged up yet. And we are already hitting tons of injuries. So that's rough.
Yeah, dude, it's
rough.
Yeah, not fun, especially for half of my lineups, I feel like. So
yeah. But the good news is you listen to our podcast, and we're going to help you navigate all these injuries. So
we're going to try to, for sure.
Our best. Yeah, so we will jump right into week 1, talking through some of our hunks and our skunks, people that we liked last week, people that we didn't like. Real quickly, though, we should recap how we did last week with our hunks and skunks and who we talked about.
Okay.
So last week I talked about Amon-Ra St. Brown being a great hunk, and you should definitely be buying his stock. Rome Odunze, still feeling like he's doing well, and Tucker Kraft. Yeah, that they all panned out pretty well. Obviously, Tucker Kraft had a low week last week playing the Browns, but I think he'll still bounce back and be good if he can stay healthy.
Those are your hunks, okay?
Yeah, those are all 3 of my hunks. And then my skunks, I had Mike Evans, who is now hurt and out for a little bit. Terry McLaurin, and who was also hurt and looking to get a specialist with his core injury. And BTJ, who seems to have done nothing. So,
yeah, okay. Those, I mean, some decent hunks, decent skunks. I think you hit all of them there. Last week I had a hunk was J.K. Dobbins. He had 67% snap count and 11 carries for 83 yards and a touchdown. Had 15 fantasy points against the Chargers. Not bad. I think there's room to grow there as well. And then Jordan Mason, 60% snap count, 16 carries, 116 yards and 2 touchdowns, almost 24 fantasy points against the Bengals. I think I nailed that one. And then my skunks were BTJ last week, 81% snap count, 2 catches on 6 targets for 55 yards, only 6.5 fantasy points. That's a skunk number. That's a skunk.
Skunk and a half.
Skunking it, man. And then I also had Travion Henderson as a skunk, even though I love the player. 46% snap count, 11 rushes for 28 yards, 3 catches on 3 targets for 19 yards, 6.2 fantasy points. So pretty much just an average, not below average play for that week.
Just a guy.
JAG. Unfortunately, he'll be really good eventually, but
yes, I think a lot of these rookie running backs will be. I don't know like what's going on with all of them. They were very overhyped, but
who looks good? Quinshaw Judkins, baby, go Browns.
Yes, he does.
We need him.
We need something on offense, that's for sure.
That's true.
All right, so this week.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say. This week, I got some hunks that I liked this week that I think will continue to ascend the rest of the season. My first one is a quarterback, actually. Caleb Williams. He looked really, really good in week 3. He threw the ball really well. I think he had the most fantasy points out of anybody in the entire league last week.
He's for sure top quarterback, yeah.
Yeah, so things are looking up. If he can keep continuing to play well in Ben Johnson's offense, I think the sky's the limit for him. He's got the weapons around him. They got the offensive line figured out, it looks like. So I think that things are turning around and looking good for the Bears. So I'm excited to see what happens with him. Trey Tucker, absolutely huge game last week.
What's your hunk? Trey Tucker?
He's hunk.
Right.
I think that wide receiver room is kind of wide open, and I think he's slowly cementing himself. You're not wrong. And so if he can cement himself as a wide receiver option for Geno Smith, I think that he will continue to put up fantasy points every week. And then the running back that I picked was Jonathan Taylor. He just looks dominant in this Colts offense and is kind of like the glue that's making it all work and stick together. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see how he keeps continuing to blossom as the RB1 in that offense. Who are some hunks that you have this week, Monster?
Yeah, I got 2. Sorry, I was checking the Guardian score. Those who care about the Guardians up 3-1, top of the 7th against Detroit. So
cheers.
Sorry, go Guardians. Hunks. Okay, Hunks. My first hunk I have his rookie running back, Omarion Hampton for the Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
Last week versus Denver, 79% snap count, 19 attempts, 70 yards, and a touchdown, 6 catches on 7 targets for 59 yards. He did fumble once, but he's a rookie. He needs to hold on to the ball. Pretty good numbers. This week, they played the Giants, and with the unfortunate injury to Najee Harris, Hampton obviously will see an increased workload, not to mention his increase in the receiving game this past week was really invaluable for fantasy. 7 targets, 6 catches, 59 yards. That's really, really, I mean, that's like having an extra receiver playing running back who also runs the ball. So, honestly, I think he's a must start this week against the Giants, and I hopefully he's just on a steady incline because I think the opportunity is there and he's going to take it. He's a really good player. So
yeah. So quick side note about Omarion Hampton. Mosser and I are in a guillotine league together, and somebody just got chopped, and I picked up Omarion Hampton from that chopped team. So I'm pretty excited about that. Very, very.
I got chopped, David. It was me.
There it is. Yes.
Listen,
I didn't want to embarrass you.
No, it's cool. I was the very first one chopped this week. However, I got baited into bidding way too much for a player that I really, really loved, and was thinking with dynasty implications instead of redraft for guillotine. So I bid hard after Travion Henderson, bid way too much, and I paid the piper. So I'll learn my lesson with guillotine leagues to obviously keep it as a redraft. I thought he was gonna take control of that offense and that running back room and hit the ground running, but he didn't. So I'll let you. It's fine. But yeah, Omarion Hampton I drafted as well. I really love these rookie running backs, and they screwed me. So
that's okay. But I think you were right just early. Maybe the best
for sure.
Looking at it.
Yeah. Second hunk I have is Quentin Johnston, wide receiver for the Chargers. So I had Hampton for the Chargers and Johnson for the Chargers. Last week versus Denver, 87% snap count. 6 catches on 10 targets for 89 yards. Decent numbers for a receiver. He leads the team in receiving this year with 14 catches on 24 targets, 239 yards, and 3 touchdowns with really big play threat implications. He's been all over the field. It's like he stole the hands from CeeDee Lamb or something and BTJ. This guy who was basically a guy you couldn't start, unreliable. Stonehand Johnson. You forget about Stonewall Jackson, Stonehand Johnson. But now this guy, sorry, stupid. Now this guy's catching everything, and in a wide receiver room that has Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey, he's basically just taken over Ladd McConkey's spot. It's he's really good. This week they play the Giants, and he's no longer a bust. I mean, at this point, he's not even a sleeper player. He's the real deal. He's got me putting my foot in my mouth. You watching, all of us had our foot in our mouth after this.
Well, he was literally like dead to the fantasy world for the last year and a half.
For sure,
not valuable at all. And I think that's a huge credit to both Quentin Johnston and to the Chargers coaching staff and development that they do to their players there, because they've made him so invaluable to their offense this year, and it's looking like it's paying off huge for them. So
well, I don't know who developed them. I don't know. I mean, Mike Williams wasn't really great there and didn't develop too much, but nonetheless, Johnson's a must start. I think. I mean, he is the wide receiver of 5 so far in sleeper. Until snap percentage, targets, production slow down, this guy's going to be a very good player on an even better offense. So he's got to be a must start now, which is crazy for me to say. He's one of my hunks.
Yeah.
I'll start with my first skunk. Okay.
Let's hear it.
All right. So my first skunk. So I had Omarion Hampton hunk. Quentin Johnston hunk. Ladd McConkey is my first skunk for the Chargers. 3 Chargers players in a row. I don't know, man. Last week versus Denver, 93% snap count, 4 catches on 7 targets for 41 yards. They play the Giants this week. Last year, Ladd was clearly the wide receiver 1 for the Chargers and for Justin Herbert. But unfortunately for him, the addition of Keenan Allen had significantly, cut into his workload, and the fast emerging Quentin Johnston pushed his role even down more. I believe in Ladd. I really like the player. I think he's really good, but as long as especially Keenan Allen is on this team, he's not going to get the same production that he did last year as a rookie. it's going to be very negatively affected. Ladd hasn't scored a touchdown this year and has the fewest yards between the top 3 receivers on his team. He's a great player, but this is bad timing. He is definitely one of my skunks.
Yeah, it's a good skunk. My top skunk is none other than the fantasy wonder of the world over the offseason, Drake London. For how good he ended last year on a high note with all the touchdowns that he caught and all the yards, this year he's not caught a touchdown yet in the first 3 weeks of the season. He's only had, let me do some quick math. Yes, 32 targets for 3 weeks, so on average about 10, which is not bad, but yardage-wise, 55 yards, 49 yards, 55 yards, averaging about 7-8 yards a target. It's not great if you're wanting good fantasy protection. And then last week, the last 2 weeks, he had 3.4 fantasy points in week 2, and last week he had 8 fantasy points. He's only going to be relevant if he catches touchdowns at this point. So without that and without being able to rely on any touchdowns, like, he's become pretty much a skunk because he's not living up to this hype. He was a early second round, mid second round draft pick for redraft leagues. And he was just like the golden boy. Like, oh, if you miss out on some of these top wide receivers, target Drake London.
Yeah, I thought London could have been an easy top 5.
And I thought that too. Yeah, but
so.
Yeah, he's off to one of these slowest starts that I can remember for a wide receiver with that type of hype during the offseason. So he's on my skunk list now. So
yeah, go and do your second one.
My second one, I have. Sadly, it hurts me to say this. Brock Bowers.
Whoa, that's your Pookie.
Yeah, I know. He's my Pookie. He's also off to a really slow start. Now, I think
that offense is trash, bro.
Exactly, yes. I think the difference, though, is that Drake London, whereas I think that there's a lot more weapons on the Falcons team, I think that Brock Bowers is going to end up becoming still the only viable weapon for that offense. Sure, Ashton Genty's in there, and he's going to get his carries and his touches, even though Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly are like, we're going to slow play it. I still think they got to find a way to just force feed Brock Bowers the ball. He's that talented, he's that good, but this year, for whatever reason, Geno Smith's not looking at him. The offense is not designing plays for him, and so I don't know if it's a quarterback thing or an offensive coordinator thing or what's going on there. But right now, I am just flabbergasted that I'm even saying this, but Brock Bowers is stinking like a skunk.
I mean, JT's not going to do anything with that offensive line, I think, this year. I think that it's very unfortunate for him. A lot of people are going to deem him a bust. Everyone thought he was generational. Just hold him, wait. He's going to be good, but that offensive line is awful. I mean, Geno's more interested in throwing to the defense more than he is Brock Bowers. So,
yeah. Then you would think with a bad offensive line, they would want to dump it to Brock Bowers and Genty in the passing game, but don't know why he's not.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole team's a mess. I'm staying away from all of them, so including Trey Tucker, the one hit wonder. All right, my second and last skunk is quarterback for the Cowboys, Dak Prescott. Last week versus the Bears, 86% snap count, 31 passes complete on 40 attempts, 251 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. This week they play the Packers. Yes, the Packers are coming off a bad late fourth quarter loss to the Browns defense. Like, oh my gosh, what? It just as a Browns fan,
I loved being at that game. That was so much fun.
Yeah, that's cool. You're at the game. I'm a huge draft guy, so I mean, it's crazy that we beat the Packers, and now we have a win under our belt, an unexpected win for sure. So we'll see how that implicates the draft next year. But I'm still rooting for my team. I'll shut up. Nonetheless, Dak is in trouble this week against the Packers defense. Packers still have a top defense, and not to mention the guy named Micah Parsons, who's most definitely looking to send a message to some old man who didn't sign him, and Jerry Jones. This Packers team is probably embarrassed and pissed that they, what happened in Cleveland week 3. That and the fact that Dak will be missing, CeeDee Lamb, a top receiver in the NFL, although he has been slow this season so far. I mean, he's still an incredible talent. He's got George Pickens out there now as his top target, and Pickens as the wide receiver 1 sometimes doesn't always produce as the best. We saw that with Pittsburgh last few years, but I still have faith in him. But nonetheless, missing his targets, He's playing very good defense, and I think Micah Parsons is going to make it very personal. So this week, I'm definitely adding him as a skunk. I think Dak is in major trouble this week.
Agreed. And, I mean, frankly, if I'm being honest with you, I think the Browns team as a whole is more talented than the Cowboys team as a whole. I just think, the Cowboys, while they have Dak and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, that's really like it. I don't think their defense is all that stout. Their offensive line is getting old. I'm with you. I'm not buying the Dak hype or faith in Dak. All right.
Sure.
Well, shall we look into our week ahead, week 4 of fantasy football?
We're doing fantasy fireworks.
Yeah, fantasy fireworks.
Let's do it. All right. So fantasy fireworks is we pick a game or two where we think is a good matchup just to produce a lot of fantasy points. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
Sure. Yeah. So I think just to recap, like some picks that I did last week, I picked 3 games, and 2 of them I think were like good fantasy hits, and then one of them was not. My first one was Atlanta and Carolina. If you had Carolina players, you did a great job. Lots of fantasy points. If you picked Atlanta, not so much. So that was still pretty good. Pittsburgh, New England, not so much fantasy hit. There's a lot of weird defensive plays that happened in that game. A lot of turnovers, just very kind of sloppy, low-scoring game. And then Denver and LA Chargers. That ended up being actually one of the best fantasy matchups of the week. So that was definitely a hit as well. So for this week, I've got 3 more matchups for you. The first one is the hottest team in the NFL, the Indianapolis Colts, going to LA to play the Rams. I think there should be a lot of fireworks in that game. I don't know how the Colts are 3-0 and looking red hot, but they are. The Rams team is really, really feisty and really, really good. They should have beat the Eagles, but the blocked kick return for a touchdown lost them in the game.
3 or 4 of those in the NFL this week, which is
wild.
An anomaly. That's insane. It's really cool, and it happened to be be on the right side of my favorite team's outcome. So heck yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we'll take it. My other one is Philly and Tampa Bay. I think both of those offenses are looking to get back on track. Tampa Bay, they did lose Mike Evans. But I think that they'll still be able to get through this game with both of those running backs, those being Bucky Irving or Chad White. And I think Emeka Egbuka has cemented himself as a must-start in fantasy football leagues with Baker throwing him the ball. So both of those teams should be good. And then my last one is Baltimore and Kansas City. Oddly enough, both of those teams are 1-2, and I think that's going to be a fight till the end because I don't think either team wants to start the season 1-3. I expect lots of fireworks there, especially late in the game. I believe that is the Sunday night game, so definitely start those players because it'll be a good firework matchup for you. Who you got?
Yeah. So, my first one, I have Colts versus the Rams. Similarly, once again, sometimes me and David will have some matching ideas here, but we like to just have our own ideas. We don't like to share, and we just it's fun to keep it a surprise. So Colts versus Rams is one game that I have that will produce a lot of fantasy points. I mean, Daniel Jones is ranked as the fourth best quarterback according to Sleeper. Tyler Warren's a top 10 tight end. Jonathan Taylor's the top running back in Sleeper right now, and then Michael Pittman's even the 13th ranked receiver. So a lot of fantasy points be distributed there for the Colts. Same thing with Stafford and the Rams, 16th ranked quarterback. Kyron Williams is 13th. Puka Nacua is the number 1 receiver right now in Sleeper, and then Devontae Adams is 11th. So a nice mix of just top 15 players all around for each team there.
Not to mention Tyler Warren's in there too, sneaky tight end.
Oh yeah, I said him. Tyler, he's a top 10 tight end.
Gotcha.
I would never forget about Tyler Warren. I would die.
I know you wouldn't. He's your.
I would not die for him. I'm kidding. And then I only did 2 games this week. The second game I did was Eagles versus Buccaneers. Same as David. Eagles, Jalen Hurts, 5th ranked quarterback in Sleeper. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are the 40th and 39th ranked receiver. Yeah, it was a slow start, but I mean, AJ Brown, 6 catches on 10 targets last week for 109 yards and a touchdown. And Devonta Smith had 8 catches and 9 targets for 60 yards and a touchdown. So both of them, got back in form last week, and hopefully will capitalize and continue on that. Not to mention Saquon Barkley, who's right now is the 14th best running back, but he's Saquon. So the Buccaneers, Baker, 9th ranked quarterback and sleeper. Emeka Buka, I mean, like we talked about, the wide receiver factory with Ohio State. I mean, this guy is a seasoned pro already. It's insane. Top 10 receivers a rookie so far, and looks to even take a larger role with Mike Evans out. Bucky Irving, 16th ranked running back. He's going to have a more role in the offense as well with the receivers out. And then Chris Godwin, who is questionable, who has a chance to play. If he does, he'll be instantly fantasy relevant as well. Although the Buccaneers are riddled with injuries, I think the guys are healthy enough to score some decent points this week, so that'll be a good matchup.
Yeah. Now look at us.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Page. Yeah. Yes, I love it.
All right, let's move on to the next segment, the long shot lineup. So these are guys, we'll pick quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, and then flex position. And these are guys who are, not necessarily the best players on each team, not the best in fantasy, but we think they'll have a good matchup this week and will produce some decent points. So we're just trying to give you basically like a sleeper lineup that, that we would recommend. I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it. Do you want to recap your lineup last week?
Yeah, I can do that. Recap last week. My quarterback was Russell Wilson. I said, screw it. Give me Russell Wilson. It's what I said. I got screwed. 18 complete on 30 times, 160 yards, 2 interceptions, and benched for Jackson Dart this week. So he, yikes. Running back ahead was Kenneth Walker, 16 attempts for 38 yards. Not that great, but he did have 2 touchdowns, 1 catch for 12 yards. He had 17.5 fantasy points, so I'd say that's a win. Obviously, you like to get those yards up on the attempts, but the 2 touchdowns clearly helped. Terry McLaurin was my third player, my first receiver. 3 catches on 4 targets for 74 yards. He got injured. He did score 8.9 fantasy points, but now we'll see. I don't think he's going to play this week with the quadricep injury. My other receiver, Alec Aominer, 4 catches on 5 targets for 38 yards and a touchdown, 11.8 fantasy points. That's a decent pick for a sleeper pick. And then my tight end was Hunter Henry, 8 catches on 11 targets for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he is now ranked as the tight end 1 in fantasy with he scored 25 fantasy points last week. I crushed that clearly.
Yes, you did. That was a good one.
Then my flex was Jaylen Warren, 18 rushes for 47 yards, 5 catches on 6 targets for 34 yards, 10.6 fantasy points. Decent flex there. Go ahead and read off yours from last week.
So last week I had a lot more misses than hits. The only hit that I had was the same one that you had, or I guess you had 2, but Alec Aominer, he was also a hit of mine. Cam Ward was my quarterback. He's had a rough start to the season. Yeah. I think he'll turn it around eventually. I don't know what's going on there, but the talent's there. I had Tyler Algier as my running back. I thought he would still carve out a role for himself, and he only had I want to say 8 carries for 33 yards or something like that. So he's averaging 6 or 7 yards a carry, but that was about it. So kind of a dud. Troy Franklin, who exploded in week 2, kind of laid a goose egg in week 3. So he's going to be very much a boomer bust type of a player this year, it looks like. And Luke Farrell, my boy, my tight end, literally did nothing. So that's okay. That was it, though.
Yeah, it's all right, though. I mean, it happens. It happens. These are sleepers for a reason. They're not the top guys. They're not the daily fantasy sports or anything like that. So we're just trying to pick some random guys that we think will do well. Excuse me. Sorry. All right, so I'll go into my long shot lineup. I'll start first with my quarterback. This week I am picking Bo Nix, projected
Nice.
21.3 fantasy points. Last week versus the Chargers, he had 14 passes complete on 25 attempts, 153 yards and a touchdown, 8 rushes for 33 yards. They play the Bengals this week on Monday night. The Bengals have the 25th best passing defense, allowing an average of 240.7 yards per game and 6 total touchdowns this season. They have an absolute awful defense, the Bengals do, and I expect Nix and his receivers to have a good week. So, I'm definitely streaming that. Projected 21.3 fantasy points. That's a lot. I think he'll play well.
I agree. I like that pick.
Yeah. Do you want to do your quarterback? We'll just go back and forth.
Yeah. So for my quarterback, I picked none other than Jackson Dart, the rookie quarterback in his first start. I think that he's going to actually do really well this week. I think the coaches are going to set him up for success. He's got the weapons around him. He's got Malik Neighbors. He's got Wan'Dale Robinson. It's just the question of if he can get the blocking from his O-line, and if not, can he evade the pressure to scramble and find players on the run, which I think he should be able to do a lot better than what Russell Wilson has been doing. I think he'll use his legs a lot more, maybe even get a rushing touchdown. So I'm excited to see how he plays. In the long run, I still think that he may still need some time to develop and grow, so definitely worthwhile in dynasty leagues, but maybe not worth it for redraft this year just yet. But definitely worth a stash on your bench just to pick him up and see how he does. So yeah, I like Jackson Dart though.
Good pick. I mean, we haven't seen him. He's definitely a dual threat. He likes to run. Mm-hmm. So I mean, he's a rookie. We'll see. I mean, until he plays, I can't really say if he's going to be good or bad. But I do like the prospect. So
yeah.
My first running back for this week for the long shot lineup is Cam Skattebo. Running back for the Giants, projected 14.6 fantasy points. Last week versus the Chiefs, he had a 59% snap count for 10 rushes for 60 yards and a touchdown, 6 catches on 8 targets for 61 yards. Really, I mean, that's a great outing. Yeah. Great outing.
He was the only bright spot for the Giants last week.
Right, yeah, and with the team with Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson, who played well. They played the Chargers this week. The Chargers had the 9th best rushing defense and allowing an average of 94.7 yards per game, and they've only allowed 2 rushing touchdowns this season. But last week against the Chiefs, Skattebo put up a whopping 21 fantasy points. A lot of that has to do with the unfortunate injury to Tyron Tracy. He'll be out, I think they said 2 to 4 weeks. But for Cam owners, this is fantastic news. Skattebo will now take the load of the rushing attempts, and he'll continue to be much of a threat in the receiving game as well. I mean, 6 catches for 61 yards. That's top tier. And he showed that in college, and he was a beast in college at that. So it looks like that'll be sustainable as well. I think his fantasy relevance is going to skyrocket. So get in early on him. So.
Mm-hmm. I like it. My running back is very similar position to yours, getting the start because of injury, and so that is Trey Benson, the Arizona Cardinals running back. I think he has always been a very efficient runner, even going back to last year. Does a really good job of just taking what the defense gives him, not trying to hit a home run. So it's just very efficient, good for that offense. I think we've never really seen him have like a huge workload before. He's never been a workhorse. So I'm excited to see how he does with that, to see if he can become a bell cow back for that team. And I think that the sky's the limit. It's his job to lose at this point, and so I think that he will just take advantage of it and run with it. So excited to see how he does. If you don't have him, pick him up. I know that he's been very picked up on fantasy leagues lately this week in Sleeper.
Yeah.
I think he had over 400,000 ads this week. So definitely go pick him up.
Yeah, I like Trey Benson coming out of Florida State too. So he's a good prospect. I think the only problem with him was opportunity was not really looming with Connor, but with Connor as well, James Connors, that injury was always imminent. I think just because of unfortunate, but that's
one cool stat about Trey Benson. Throughout the first 3 weeks, his yards per carry were 8.63. 4.67 and 4.2. So he's doing a good job of averaging good yards per carry. It's just now, can we get more of those attempts? Because the first week he had 8 attempts, second week he had 3, last week he had 10. Can we get him up to that 15, 18 carries per game?
That whole offense is weird, man.
It's true.
Cardinals' offense is really weird. Yeah. I think Kyler's a turd. So,
yeah.
All right, I'm going to go with my first wide receiver, George Pickens. For the Cowboys, projected 12.2 fantasy points. Last week versus the Bears, he had 5 catches on 9 targets for 68 yards and a touchdown. Yes, they play Green Bay this week. Green Bay has the 7th best passing defense with an average of 168 yards allowed this season, and only 3 touchdowns or pass touchdowns this season is allowed too. Pickens is the top 20 receiver this season so far, and that's as the second passing option for the Cowboys behind CeeDee Lamb, obviously. But now CeeDee is hurt; he's going to be out a few weeks, and the Cowboys have a touch matchup with the Packers. But I think that Dak and this offense will have to feature Pickens to alive if they're going to want to win.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons is going to seek revenge. He's going to have to get the ball out early. The passing game is going to have to be effective, and I mean, I'm not sure if the Cowboys are safe overall, but I expect Pickens to have a decent game for sure.
So. I was going to say the best thing that there is for Pickens going into this matchup is that I think the Cowboys will be trailing a lot. So late in the game, they will be passing and feeding and force feeding George Pickens.
For sure.
I think so. I think there's a good fantasy matchup for him there. My first wide receiver that I have for my long shot lineup is none other than Sterling Shepard, wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As we mentioned before, there's been a riddle of injuries for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even Emeka Egbuka is coming off of an injury. So somebody's going to have to step up. Is Chris Godwin going to come back? We don't know for sure. Emeka Egbuka is going to be the wide receiver 1 there, but who's going to be the 2? And I think there's a strong belief that Sterling Shepard could do that, could be that guy, could step in and kind of get a lot of those targets that Mike Evans was getting, especially if Chris Godwin's out. And so I think that there's potential there for this week specifically, maybe not for the whole season, but definitely worth adding and stashing on a bench, definitely worth maybe starting this week and then kind of dropping him after that. But yeah, I think that there will be opportunity there this week for Sterling Shepard.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick. I mean, and him and Baker have had rapport always from college as well, since they both played at Oklahoma. So could be a good option. My second wide receiver, Deebo Samuel for the Commanders, projected 10.6 fantasy points. Last week versus the Raiders, he had a 43% snap count. Only 2 catches, 3 targets for 11 yards. 2 kick returns for 93 yards. So if your team or fantasy team adds in, special team points, that's something to monitor. Plays Atlanta this week. Atlanta does have the top. All right, so I picked Deebo before I figured all this out, but I still think I did the work. Atlanta has the top passing defense in the NFL after 3 weeks with an average of 131 yards per game allowed and only 3 touchdowns allowed passing for the season. Last week, Deebo did not have a good game. However, I'm betting that he will produce a decent amount of points this week. Terry McLaurin's out with a quadricep injury. The rushing game is a mess now. Rumors, Bill Krosky missed the game or practice today, so they'll have to figure it out. And I'm not sure if Jaden Daniels is even playing. So there's only like one dude on this team right now who is going to do anything, and that's got to be Deebo Samuel. I expect the offense to have to be creative to get Deebo the ball in different ways. He's a Swiss Army knife. They got to use him. A lot of injuries, and this is the only guy that is viable really to get the ball. So give me Deebo this week.
I like it. Yeah,
projected 10.6 fantasy points.
Yeah, he's become the old reliable for that team now. I don't know how he's managed to avoid injury when everybody else has gotten hurt, but good for him, and I hope that he balls out. My second wide receiver that I've got is kind of a big sleeper pick, I feel like, but somebody that probably is no longer a sleeper, but that is Parker Washington. We talked about him a little bit last week, but I do think that there's a lot of potential for him now. Last week, he had 11 targets. He led the team in targets. More than Travis Hunter.
That
more
pisses
than
me off.
It's wild. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, I think that if he can continue to get that type of target and get that type of attention from Trevor Lawrence, he's going to score touchdowns. He's going to get yards. I think that it's just inevitable if he keeps getting 11 targets per game. So definitely go pick him up, add him to your bench. Maybe don't start him right away, because even with those 11 targets, he only had 6 fantasy points last week.
Yeah, 4
and then
catches,
had 10 the week before that. So they still want to see more consistency with catching and the yards. But definitely go pick him up and stash him on your bench.
Okay, decent pick. I'm going to go to my tight end, Chig Okonkwo. Real quick, just for those who are just joining in, this is our legacy lineup. These are just guys who, we're doing a full lineup, guys who would think could be sleepers this week to produce, who aren't the top guys in each position.
The long
yes,
lineup.
Long shot. I'm sorry. Yes, long shot lineup. We're doing legacy lineup next. Tight end, Chig Okonkwo. I can't say his name, but it doesn't matter. He's pretty good. Projected 6.6 fantasy points. He plays for the Titans. Last week versus the Colts, he had a 66% snap count, 5 catches on 6 targets for 66 yards, A lot of sixes there. Holy crap. Plays Houston this week, and Houston has the 13th best passing defense, allowing an average of 206.7 yards per game and 3 passing touchdowns allowed. However, against tight ends this year, they have allowed 15 catches on 17 targets for 112 yards and a touchdown. So 112 yards out of the 206 they're allowing per game is – no, that's not right. But 112 yards this season is a lot for the tight end. Chig leads the Titans in targets, receptions, and yards last week. He's been reported since OTAs to have the most chemistry with rookie Cam Ward, the quarterback, out of any other target on the team. And last week that showed 5 catches, 6 yards, 66 yards. I think this is a good matchup against tight ends where he could produce. I think he's going to break out. I think he's a very athletic tight end. He's one of those tight ends who have been in for a few years now, 3 years. I think he's going to be a breakout candidate. He's very, very athletic, and he just needed a quarterback to get at the ball. So I think that, he's going to be relevant for fantasy. He started last week against the Colts. So.
Yeah, I like that pick, and I think once he starts becoming a much better red zone target too, he will definitely be a lot more fantasy relevant for people, and that could start this week. So I like that pick a lot. My tight end that I had for my long shot lineup is Oronde Gadsden, the tight end for the Chargers. He had his first game that he started last week.
Right.
Had 5 catches on 7 targets for 46 yards. So nothing spectacular, but I think he's emerging as the top option at tight end for that team. Rookie tight end. I think that people are now starting to focus in on those wide receivers a little bit more, and so he could get a little bit more action. But yeah, I still think 7 targets for a tight end is really good. First game in, averaged 6.5 yards a catch. Definitely worth adding and stashing, maybe even starting this week as they go up against the Giants, who may not be able to defend all the weapons there and could create some opportunity for Gadsden. So that is my sleeper long shot.
You're doing real sleepers this week.
I did. I was trying to do some research. So
there you go. Flex, my final pick for this segment. Flex Jordan Mason, running back for the Vikings, projected 17 fantasy points this week. Last week versus the Bengals, 60% snap count, 16 carries, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Very, very good last week. Plays Pittsburgh this week, and the Steelers have the 28th ranked rushing defense and allowing an average of 139.3 rushing yards per game and 4 rushing touchdowns this season. That's a lot. I look for Mason snap count to increase this week and for him to continue what he did last week. Obviously, Aaron Jones is still hurt, so the Bengals defense was bad, and the Steelers defense is even worse. Jordan Mason is going to have a good week, and TJ Watt is TJ Watt is a crybaby and out of his prime. Myles Garrett is much better. Screw the Steelers. So go Browns. Go Browns.
Did you see the play where somebody I forget who the Steelers played last week, but they scrambled out or did a screen pass or something, and TJ Watt literally walked to try and go catch him. It was the most lazy thing I've ever seen. It was almost like Juan Thornhill, but worse.
Yikes!
Effort.
And he got paid. He's done. He's a dud.
It's just man, the heart that Myles Garrett has and the effort that he has, it's night and day difference to me. But
yeah. All right, your last one. Go with
my last flex is a very deep sleeper, but I think you'll like it. Isaiah Bond, actually, for the Browns.
Okay.
Very deep sleeper. I was at the Browns game last week, and I noticed that there were a lot of plays where Isaiah Bond was open, but either Joe Flacco didn't have the time to throw to him or just didn't want to throw to him. There's one play specifically where they did a little flea flicker, and then it was a designed screen to David Njoku, I think, or Harold Fannin. But Isaiah Bond was running down the field wide open for an 80-yard touchdown. All Joe had to do was just look at him. And so I think that there's going to be shots like that for Isaiah Bond throughout the rest of the season. And if that happens, he's going to be instantly fantasy relevant. And so if you're able to stash him, definitely go do it. I think he will become more of that deep threat option. And I think that the Browns offense is going to start adding him more and more into the offense. According to Sleeper, as I pull up his stats right now, I know that his snap count has increased over the last 3 weeks. So for week 1, he only had 28% of the snaps percentage. Week 2, it jumped up to 40%, and last week it was 65. So he's definitely being more and more involved in the offense. His target share also went up from 1 to 3 to now 4. If he can get more of those target shares and get some more of those deep shot off that play action or flea flickers or anything like that, he could be really, really good for fantasy. So somebody to keep an eye on, Isaiah Bond.
I could not disagree more, but we'll move on. The third option in a bad offense with an offensive line that's garbage and their left tackle just is out for the season is not the guy who I would pick. But hey, teach their own. You've had me eat a lot of humble pie this year already. So.
It's called a long shot lineup. So
it is. That's a very long shot.
As long as it can get.
All right, let's go to the legacy lineup. This new segment. Basically, those who do like daily fantasy sports, DFS. We just got a couple positions: quarterback, running back, receiver, and tight end. A couple players to give you real quick. I'll go first with my quarterback. Caleb Williams versus the Raiders. The Raiders have the 24th overall passing defense so far this season, have allowed 4 total touchdowns in 3 games. Williams is coming off a career game against Cowboys defense. He completed 19 of 28 for 293 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 rushes for 12 yards. He had over 40 fantasy points this last week.
Yeah.
Granted, the Cowboys now have the worst passing defense after that performance. Nonetheless, I still expect Williams to pick up right where he left off. And this was between Williams and Jordan Love for me at this point. I think, basically stream anyone against the Cowboys, but I think Williams versus the Raiders is going to be really good. Jordan Love versus the Cowboys would be my just runner up, I guess.
I like it. Yeah, my quarterback, I kind of went the same mindset, but different team. Stream anybody who's playing against the Bengals. Their defense is atrocious, so I'm going with Bo Nix this week as a quarterback to buy the stock on. He's got the weapons around him. He's got the coaching. He's got the scheme. I think that he could have a very explosive week this week. The Bengals defense is honestly
so bad.
Swiss cheese. It is like so bad. So I think that somebody like Bo Nix, who would stick to the script, really rely on his coaching and his playmakers to get out in open space and make plays. Cortland Sutton could have a really, really good game for him. Troy Franklin could catch some deep passes. So I like the potential there for Bo Nix.
Good pick. Yeah, I picked him earlier. So
yeah.
I like Bo Nix this week for sure. My running back I have is Jonathan Taylor versus the Rams. The Rams have the 13th best run defense, allowing an average of 103 yards through the first 3 weeks and only 1 rushing touchdown. Although the Rams did play well against Saquon in week 3, I think that Taylor will produce this week. The Colts offense has weapons all over the field. Unlike the Eagles offense, the Colts specialists have played well the first 3 weeks as well. I don't think that AJ Brown or Devontae Smith are bad. Like I said earlier, I just think they got going slowly this week. So I think that the Colts are up and going, man. They took the field running first week, and I think they haven't stopped yet. So I think with the Rams having to focus on a decent receiving room and Pittman, Downs, and Pierce, and then Tyler Warren obviously emerging in that tight end room and is the next in line of dominant rookie tight ends. I just think that Jonathan Taylor will benefit this week. I think that I forgot to mention even Jonathan Taylor looks a lot better this week on this season too. Taylor's the running back one this season for a reason. He looks really, really good. I think he may win the rushing title this year if he stays healthy. He's looking that good.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I like that a lot. I have another Colt on here, but we'll get to him eventually. My running back is Omarion Hampton for DFS this week. I think we all know Harbaugh loves to run the football. I think that I forgot who the Chargers are playing this week, but their defense I know likes to hone in on the passing game. So I'm expecting Omarion Hampton to be a bell cow this week and get all the touches. Yes. So maybe not, but I still expect Omarion Hampton to be able to run all over the defense, get all the touchdowns and all the touches, and so I'm expecting a big week from him. First time him being the featured back after the Najee Harris injury, so yeah, I'm in on Omarion Hampton this week.
Yeah, man, we're similar. Yeah, I had him
We
up
are.
earlier as well. I really like Hampton this week. My wide receiver for this week is Jackson Smith and Jigba for the versus the Cardinals.
JSN.
Yeah, the Cardinals have the 30th worst passing defense this season, giving up through 264.3 passing yards a game and 4 touchdowns to the season. I mean, let's be real here. JSN is going to feast. I mean,
Yeah.
He's ranked as the 6th best receiver after 3 weeks, and he isn't slowing down anytime soon. He's an elite wide receiver 1. So far, 22 catches on 29 targets, 323 yards and a touchdown. I think this game could even be his best game of the season against the Cardinals. That defense is that bad, really bad. I think JSN is going to win some leagues this year. So I think he's also a really good start this week. So
I love it. My wide receiver is pairing with your quarterback, Rome Odunze. He has been on fire this year.
So good, man.
I think he's still going to be somebody who can feast in that offense and will catch more touchdowns. I think last week was his first week where he didn't catch a touchdown, if I remember correctly. I don't have his stats pulled up in front of me. But I think that, him and Caleb Williams seem to be like in great sync this year. Really, Caleb is relying on him to be his wide receiver 1. And so I'm expecting more fireworks from both of them this week, but really, really loving Rome Odunze this week. So
good pick. Yeah, he's just looking really good. He looks definitely stepped into the wide receiver 1 role there and kind of left DJ Moore in his dust. So.
Yep.
And then finally, my last pick here. Once again, this is a segment we are doing called the Legacy Lineup. We're just basically picking a quarterback, running back, receiver, and tight end who we think will produce well this week for daily fantasy sports. So my tight end is Hunter Henry versus the Panthers. The Panthers.
I love that.
I know. I made it. The Panthers ranked 12th in passing defense after 2 weeks, giving up 196 yards. Passing and 2 touchdowns, but also they're ranked 25th in defense against the tight end so far this season. They've given up 18 catches on 22 targets for 222 yards and a touchdown. That is fantastic news for Hunter Henry owners. He is coming off a fantastic game last week, and he's now ranked the tight end 1 in sleeper after 3 games. Has 15 catches on 22 targets for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, last week, Drake May and Hunter Henry, they had, I think, 8 catches, 90 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like, really, really a great a week. And I think that's just going to continue against a team that sucks against tight ends. You better hop on this Hunter Henry train before it's too late because this guy's about to take off. So.
Yep, for sure. He's kind of emerged as, like, the best passing option in that offense too, it feels like. So definitely.
Well, yeah, and with a team that has a lot of questions. I mean, obviously they have Stephon Diggs, but I mean, Kyle Williams was supposed to be this rookie who's supposed to get the ball. I mean, they had Polk, who they drafted last year, and he's already traded. He's gone. So I mean, they're just trying to find anyone who can do anything, and I think this guy is definitely the one. So.
Yeah, I like it. My tight end is Tyler Warren, your boy, your boo. I think last week we saw,
He's my Pookie, not my boo.
Pookie, sorry, my bad. Last week we saw a dip in his targets, but I think that's going to come back. They're playing the Rams this week, and I know that their corners and secondary is pretty good, but their linebackers may not be the best, and so I think that he'll be able to get open down the middle of the field or in those open zone spots. So I think that this week could be a really good matchup for Tyler Warren, for Daniel Jones to dump it off to. And so I'm expecting good things from him this week. Similar to a lot of things you said about Jonathan Taylor, I think Tyler Warren would be able to feast this week and get a lot of targets and hopefully a touchdown. So I like him.
All right, real quick, I just want to go over who we picked last year, just for accountability and fun. Yeah. Last week I picked quarterback Josh Allen, 22-28, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 rushing attempts for 25 yards. I had 31.15 fantasy points. That was a hit, clearly. When I said Josh Allen, I said duh, because no brainer. Bijan Robinson was our running back, 13 attempts for 72 yards, 5 catches on 6 attempts for 39 yards, 13.6 fantasy points. Not the best, not the worst, but okay. I picked Malik Neighbors, 2 catches on 7 targets for 13 yards. Just a big old Dookie Pie on the field, and that's all because of Russell Wilson, which is crazy because obviously the week before, I mean, they had historic numbers between Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Russell Wilson together. But now there's a new quarterback in Jackson Dart, and hopefully Malik Neighbors will benefit from just getting hit by the rookie. So, and then my tight end finally was Tyler Warren, yours for this week. 3 catches on 5 targets for 38 yards. Didn't really do too much the last week, but he's still a top 10 tight end, and I believe in him a lot. So.
Yeah, last week I feel like I feasted on my legacy lineup. I had Bo Nix, who I picked again this week. I had Bijan Robinson, who Falcons as a whole sucked. But
weird.
Bijan was kind of a bright spot there. The only person who did anything there. And then I had Cortland Sutton, skyrocketed last week, and Hunter Henry as my tight end. So I feel like it did pretty well for my legacy lineup last week.
You did, brother. All right, let's move on. We got 2 more segments here. This one, we are going to pick our top favorite waiver picks for this week. Sleepers, and then creepers, just players that we're going to avoid as well. So I'll go first. My first waiver for this week is wide receiver for the Chiefs, Tyquan Thornton.
Oh, yeah.
Only 52% rostered on Sleeper right now. He's the 21st ranked wide receiver after 3 weeks and has a touchdown in the last 2 weeks. Week 3 against the Giants, 5 catches on 9 targets for 75 yards and a touchdown. He's currently the Chiefs' top receiver right now with Rashee Rice suspended for 3 more games. Obviously, Xavier Worthy was practicing today, but that's still something to monitor while he's dealing with that injury. I added him week 1 for $1 on a lot of teams, and a lot of my rosters because I was hearing good things out of camp, and it looks like he's finally producing. He worked off of that practice squad and is looking really, really good. He should be fantasy relevant for at least 3 more weeks, but I'm thinking even longer than that as he is. I think he's established a role. And currently his average fab to bid is at $7. Just so to monitor that, average on Sleeper right now is $7 to add him.
That's pretty good.
I got him when I was $1 though, so no big deal. Fantasy points for the first week 5.1, week 2 is 12.9, and then week 3 is 15.6. So steadily climbing, steadily producing, and hopefully you'll continue that.
Yeah, and I feel like he's, as I mentioned, like carved out a role for himself even after like these wide receivers that are injured or suspended come back. He will still be fantasy relevant.
And he's really fast.
It'd be a good deep threat too. Yeah. My sleeper this week is not really a sleeper anymore, I guess, but Trey Tucker. Already talked about him a little bit earlier, but somebody who just exploded last week for fantasy football. He's had 1.9 million additions and pickups off the waiver wire.
Yeah, he's rostered 63% right now, so a little not bad. He's still available in a lot of leagues, though.
Still available, but still a lot of additions. Absolutely exploded last week. Had 8 catches on 9 targets for 145 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, crazy.
Absolutely monster of a game. And they're going up against Chicago this week, who has a good defense, but their secondary may be a little bit on the weak side. So there could be potential there. So I liked Trey Tucker there.
Good pick.
Thank you.
All right. My second waiver, sleeper slash keeper. This guy is Sterling Shepard, wide receiver for the Buccaneers. David mentioned earlier as a guy that he likes. Only 21% rostered on sleeper. I like to really try to find the guys who are real sleepers, not 65% like Trey Tucker. He's the 55th ranked receiver after 3 weeks and has seen 15 targets. I wrote something with it. Sorry, he has seen 15 targets, I think. Last week, he had 61% snap count for 4 catches on 5 targets for 80 yards. Really good production. He clearly is in line for an extended role in this offense with Mike Evans being out for weeks. Chris Godwin is questionable. Yes, he's practicing, but there's still questionable if he's going to play. And also Jalen McMillian still on IR, at least for this week, but we haven't heard anything on his injury status. He hurt his neck before the season started. Sterling Shepard should benefit greatly. As I mentioned earlier, there also is that chemistry between him and Baker that goes all the way back to the Oklahoma days back in college. He was one of his top targets back in college, and 4 catches on 5 targets for 80 yards last week looks really good. I don't know. I really like him. I think that the last 2 seasons since Shepard joined the Tampa Bay, I liked him, and I think that his opportunities will present themselves even more. Obviously, Emeka Buka is the wide receiver 1 on their team. He might even be the wide receiver 1 after all the other guys come back, including Mike Evans. He's that good. But Sterling Shepard is definitely a guy to look for. Fantasy points week 1, he had 5.4. Week 2, he had 5.4. Then week 3, he had 10. Last week. Obviously, I think that'll pick up. And for only being rostered 21% on Sleeper right now on teams, I think that's definitely a good ad.
Yeah, I agree. I talked about him earlier. I love it. I'm going to get some deeper additions here for you. This next one is only rostered 28% in leagues on Sleeper. He's really done nothing, absolutely nothing so far this year. He is a third-year running back, but because of injury, I think that he has potential to be a little bit more involved. And that would be none other than Amari DiMarcado for the running back for the Cardinals. As I said, Trey Benson is going to be the main guy there, but somebody's going to have to come in and be the change of pace back. Right. I think that Amari DiMarcado could do that. He could be also a very good pass-catching option out of the backfield. Last year, hold on, I'm trying to find the game. Last year against the Green Bay, he had 5 catches on 7 targets for 8 yards on average. So he could fit into that pass catching role that Kyler Murray could rely on to dump the ball down to now that there's opportunity for him there. So definitely somebody to go stash on your roster and go pick up. As I mentioned, only in leagues 28%. So he's available. If he does turn out to be somebody that could hit into the passing game for the Cardinals, it's going to be good that you have him on your team. So go ahead and get in there before he hits or anything like that and see how it plays out.
Do you have any more sleepers?
I got one more.
Go ahead. I don't have any more, so go ahead.
Oh, gotcha. Xavier Hutchinson, rostered only 17% in rosters on Sleeper. He is a wide receiver for the Texans. The Texans offense is trying to figure out who they are. Yeah. And last week, if I remember correctly, let me pull him up on Sleeper. I believe that he had a very large increase in snap count. Xavier Hutchinson.
Do this beforehand, David.
I know. I should have written it down. I'm sorry. So increases snap count to 62%. Still really not involved in the targets very much, but I think that there could be potential for him to get in there because that offense is looking for a spark. So somebody who's not rostered very much, but the size is there. He's 6'3", 210. Somebody that could just step in and provide that spark that offense desperately needs. So Xavier Hutchinson.
Can he play offensive line for them?
Sadly, maybe not, but he is 6'3", so maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, real quick, Sleeper's most added players this week, as David said, the top was Trey Tucker with $2.1 million when it was all said and done. Lions defense was second with 990,000. Tyquan Thornton was third with 980,000. Trey Benson, David talked about, was fourth with 882,000. Chris Rodriguez was next with 359,000. Sterling Shepard, 349. Caleb Williams, 343. And then Hassan Haskins, the backup running back for the Chargers, with Najee Harris being out, 234,000 ads. So all those guys are streaming to be added this week, the most added players on Sleeper. We're going to go to Creepers. These are players that we think we need to avoid this week. At any level. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure, yeah. I only got 2 this week. The first one would be Tyler Shough, quarterback for the Saints. He came in at the end of the game, garbage time, just to get some reps, and there's now rumors. Is he going to start? Is he not? Who's the quarterback there? So I know that there's probably been a tick up of people adding him to the waiver wire just in case, but I wouldn't. I'd stay away at all costs. He is somebody who I think is still just not good, maybe is the best way of putting it. Just not accurate, not consistent. Right. I don't think he's going to provide any spark to that offense. And honestly, since he's a rookie, he's probably going to provide more turnovers and costly plays for that team than they would a spark. So I'd avoid him at all costs. I don't think he'll be fantasy relevant at all. So I would stay.
Are you saying for this week or for the rest of the season?
For the rest of the season, even in dynasty leagues, I would stay away from him. In all honesty, I think the Saints are I'd be surprised if they win more than 3 games this year, and I think that they're going to wind up with a top 3 pick in the draft, and they are going to draft a quarterback of their future, and they're going to roll with him. So
yeah, I think at any point or anywhere, probably Superflex, he would be the only way he'd be relevant, just as a backup. All right, you ready for my creeper?
Let's hear
This
it.
is controversial. I'm going for Jamar Chase, wide receiver for the Bengals.
Whoa! Like, hold on. So
just for the week.
You want to like? Okay, just for the week. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. All right. So let me go through this because this is a doozy. The 12th ranked wide receiver on Sleeper. Listen, we both know that you're not going to bench him. I mean, he's Jamar Chase. He was a first overall pick in the league. He's projected as top receiver in 2026. But unfortunately, injuries happen, and the Bengals offense is not great without Joe Burrow. They're not. Last week, Chase had 5 catches on 6 targets for 50 yards from a backup QB and Jake Browning, and Jake Browning is incredibly subpar. In 2 games, Browning had 40 completions on 59 targets for 381 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Yikes! With those numbers, the Bengals offense is a dumpster fire, and they're going against a promising defense with one of the top corners in the NFL, and the 2024 defensive NFL MVP and Pat Surtain in the Broncos, who he'll be covering Jamar Chase all week. You're gonna start him, but you shouldn't. I mean, he's not gonna get the ball a lot, and I don't think he's gonna do well this week. But that's just me.
No, I get it. The only saving grace is because their defense is so bad, they will be needing to outscore teams in order to win. So
right, but the quarterback can't get him the ball. He's getting the defense the ball more. He 5 interceptions to 3 touchdowns. So
I agree, yeah. But that's the only saving grace. Like,
yeah,
he would be forced.
They're gonna start him, but you shouldn't. You heard it here first.
Yeah. My other creeper that I have is somebody who's actually been on the waiver wire additions going up, who I am just out on, and that is Devin Singletary. As you mentioned earlier, Cam Scatterbo came in and just totally dominated the game.
Yeah.
He looks so good. Like, I think that there's really no, I don't think that there's a role that Devin Singletary can carve out for himself because Cam Scatterbo is so versatile and can create a role for himself in the passing game and the running game. And so I don't think Devin Singletary is going to be getting many touches away from Cam Scatterbo. And I think that people who are adding him now are just going to regret it in a few weeks and just realize, should probably cut this player. I should have added somebody else. So I'm staying away from Devin Singletary.
It's a good pick. My second and last creeper play to avoid all costs this week. I picked Zach Ertz, tight end for the Commanders. He's played well this year. I mean, he's ranked 7th best tight end in Sleeper after 3 games. Last week against the Raiders, caught 3 catches on 3 targets for 38 yards. Although he's the 7th ranked fantasy tight end so far, he's front loaded with a bunch of with a touchdown in each of his first 2 weeks, and without those touchdowns, his stats are 12 catches for 128 yards, and those are not very good numbers. With Marcus Mariota possibly playing again as Jaden Daniels deals with his knee injury, I mean, I just really can't trust Ertz right now. 3 catches on 38 yards is not going to do it for me. Also, Terry McLaurin is most likely going to miss the game with the quadricep injury, seeing a specialist, as I said, probably 50 times this episode. So, I mean, I think the defense is going to make Ertz more of a priority, and I think, the Commanders' offense is going to make Deebo Samuel more of a priority. So I would just not start him until I know that Jaden Daniels is back and, Ertz can start getting peppered again by Daniels' balls. So.
Yeah, I like that pick.
Thank you. Real quick, Sleepers.
Sadly, but.
Yeah, I know. We'll see. Sleepers most dropped players this week. Number 1, Najee Harris, nearly 400,000. Buccaneers defense, 300,000. Dylan Sampson's Browns backup running back, 229,000. Russell Wilson, 200,000. Seahawks defense, 183,000. Jake Browning was dropped 180,000 times this week. Evan Ingram, tight end for the Broncos, 139,000, and then Ramondre Stevenson, 139,000 as well. So
wow,
all of those players have been dropped a crap ton this week.
Wild.
I want to go over something real quick before we get into our FMFT. So I just saw in Sleeper the perfect fantasy team from week 3. I just want to go over that real quick. Just read it off. I think it's pretty cool. QB, this is Sleeper's standard scoring, so this isn't your custom scoring for the league. So it might be different in your league, but this is
can I try and guess it?
Yeah, go ahead. Quarterback.
Yes, okay. Quarterback, Caleb Williams, I'm assuming.
Caleb Williams, 29.12 fantasy points, was the top quarterback.
Nice.
Give me tight
Running
end.
back, tight end.
I'm sorry, receiver. I can't read.
Receiver, I'm going to go with the top receiver was Trey Tucker.
Trey Tucker, top receiver, 36.9 fantasy points this week. Just monster week. Give me a second receiver. Just random guess. Go faster.
I'm going to go with Roma Dunze.
Courtland Sutton, 20.8.
I should have known that.
Give me your running back.
Running back, I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor, 31.3. Good job, man. All right, give me your second running back.
Second running back, I will go with Quinshon Judkins.
David Montgomery, 28.9.
Oh, yeah, that makes a
really
lot of
good game.
Yeah.
Top tight end. We've went over this 100 times.
Hunter Henry.
25 points, Hunter Henry. Give me a flex. This is just, I guess, the next best player available out of running backs, tight ends, and receivers.
Okay. Puka Nacua.
Jamar Gibbs, 24.4. So David Montgomery at 28.9 and Gibbs at 24.4. That's pretty crazy. Kicker was Chase McLaughlin, and defense was the Vikings defense at 30 points. If you had this lineup, you had a total of 247.42 points this week, and that would have been the best lineup. I'm going to go over the worst lineup, just myself real quick. Russell Wilson, 7.1 fantasy points, Ramondre Stevenson, 4.6. Chase Brown, 6 total fantasy points. T. Higgins, 2.5. Malik Neighbors, 3.3. Harold Fannin Jr., 5.5. Ashton Jeanty, 6.3. Kicker P. Romeo, that's the Falcons' new kicker who replaced Young Wei Koo, total of 0. And the Ravens defense had -4 points. So that would be the worst possible lineup players with a certain roster percentage. So yeah, not very good. So hopefully you didn't have that lineup.
I did not, but I did have Ashton Jeanty in one of my lineups. So
yeah, I'm sure we had a few of each of them. All right, our last segment before we get out of here, we do the FMFT, Fix My Fantasy Team, where we reach out on Twitter or Facebook and have people comment questions, and we try to answer them live on our show. So we're going to go over those real quick.
We need to come up with a jingle for this segment because I really like this segment. So I'm gonna brainstorm something, and it's gonna be really snazzy. Fix my fantasy team.
There you go. All right. So first question, I'll go first. Poor man's Timothy Chalamet. I cannot read today. That's his name on Twitter. Asks, would you trade Pearsall and Swift for Devontae Adams? I have a strong running back room in Amari Hampton, Kamara, and Scadaboo. I'll go first.
Yeah.
This one was difficult for me, actually. I actually really like Pearsall. I mean, he's the 18th ranked wide receiver in Sleeper. His snap count percentage is elite, and he has great numbers in 3 weeks without his starting quarterback, tight end, and other receivers that are supposed to be played beside him. Last week, he had 8 catches and 11 targets for 117 yards on the year, 281 yards on 16 catches as well, no touchdowns. He's a clear wide receiver 1 on his offense, and he's still producing wide receiver 1 stats while everyone is missing on the field around him. Swift has been buns. He's been buns.
Yeah.
So far this season, 42 carries, 149 yards, 1 touchdown, 9 catches for 63 yards, and a fumble lost. I understand your enticement to trade this bum. He's not very good. Devontae Adams is ranked 11th. On Sleeper for wide receivers, 13 catches, 213 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Very respectable numbers for Devontae Adams, especially being the wide receiver 2 on his team, but obviously behind Puka Nacua, who's the current wide receiver 1 in all of fantasy football right now. I think that I'm trying my best here to keep Ricky Pearsall, though. Although he is ranked behind Adams on Sleeper in the wide receiver rankings, that's entirely based on touchdowns for Adams. Pearsall has no touchdowns. Adams has 2 touchdowns. Pearsall has more catches and more yards and is considered the wide receiver 1 on his team compared to Adams, considered the wide receiver 2. And as players like Purdy, Kittle, Juan Jennings get healthy, he should be open up even more. I think that the touchdowns will come for Pearsall. I'm for sure going to hold him, but I also would try to trade Swift for sure because he's, like I said, he's dookie. So
and 10,000%. I would definitely try and keep Pearsall. It's hard because right now Devontae Adams is better, as you said, but I think in the grand scheme of things, when the season's over, we're going to look back and be like, oh, Ricky Pearsall had an absolutely stud of a season. And so I think that the opportunity's just there more for him. And if you got like a strong running back group like he said he has with Amari Hampton and Alvin Kamara and Cam Scatterbo, like I would just keep your pieces then and just wait and see what happens. There's no need to panic sell right now. There's no need to rush to try and go get a different wide receiver. Still early in the season. Let it be for a minute. Let it breathe and just see what happens with Pearsall. So
yeah. All right, second question from Ram ETC. He said, I got a trade offer for redraft, Justin Jefferson for Ashton Jeanty and George Pickens. Which side benefits me in a 10-man PPR? You want to answer first, or you want me to?
I'll go first on this one. I think I would take the Justin Jefferson side of things. I know that the quarterback situation in Minnesota is not great. Carson Wentz is now the quarterback there. We don't know when JJ is coming back or what he's going to be like when he comes back. But I still think that Justin Jefferson is kind of quarterback proof at this point. Like he's still going to get those targets. He's still going to get those yardage. He may not be the touchdown quality receiver that he once was, but I still think that he's still going to get those PPR points that this league I think is really, really good in because it's a PPR league. And so
right.
I would pick the Justin Jefferson side of this trade. Plus, you're moving on from Ashton Jeanty and George Pickens. George Pickens could have an increased role, but as we talked about earlier, I don't trust the Dallas Cowboys team right now. So I would stick with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson is wide receiver 24 on Sleeper after 3 weeks. Last week versus the Bengals, 5 catches on 7 targets for 75 yards. I mean, obviously, like you said, J.J. McCarthy is hurt. Truth be told, I'm not very sold on J.J. McCarthy when he's healthy. He's every game he struggled in the first half, and then he has to come back historically in the second half to make his team compete for the game. That's not a sustainable way to play football, I think. I mean, and Jeanty, he's had a rough start to the season, but honestly, any running back would with that horrendous offensive line. I mean, it's a really bad offensive line. He's ranked 33rd best running back on Sleeper after 3 weeks. Pickens does intrigue me, as I said earlier. He's currently ranked as the 19th receiver as the number 2 on his team, but now with an open role, increased role with CeeDee Lamb injury, he looks like to be the only option in the pass game at all. After considering all that, I still, like David said, keep Justin Jefferson over the 2 players. Eventually, CD is going to come back, and Dak will focus on him more than Pickens. And I would consider Ashton Jeanty unplayable currently, especially in redraft, which you specifically asked about redraft. I'm not saying that Jeanty is not good. I like the player, but I mean, behind that offensive line, he's not going to be good this year. I would keep Justin Jefferson for sure here. So.
Yeah, I agree. This next question is from Carter at CarterPatch19. Might offer DJ Moore for Trevion Henderson? 12-man PPR league. I have Henry and Pacheco. Feels like I need to give myself an RB2 chance. Moore is on my bench behind Collins and Nagbuka. Tyler Warren at flex. What do you think?
I'm guessing this is a redraft league. At least I'm going to answer as it was. Because I would not trade. Excuse me. No, a Trevion Henderson owner would not accept a DJ Moore trade straight up if it was dynasty for sure. So it's got to be redraft. DJ Moore is ranked as the 44th. I am struggling today. 45th best receiver on Sleeper with 12 catches, 135 yards, and 1 touchdown. He was expected to be the wide receiver 1 this year for Caleb Williams and the Bears, but Rome Odunze has broken out and clearly taken that role. Not to mention, rookie second-round pick Luther Burden looked really good and possibly broke out last week as well. 3 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. Trevion Henderson is ranked as the 36th best running back on Sleeper with 19 rushes and 65 yards, 11 catches for 73 yards. He's the RB2 behind Ramondre Stevenson, who looks good in week 2 and bad in week 3. 28th ranked running back right now currently for Stevenson. Looking at this trade for what it is, I mean, the Bears wide receiver DJ Moore straight up for Trevion Henderson, I would make that. However, there's a lot of things. One thing to consider, I would say. DJ Moore right now is being rumored to be on the trade block.
Ooh.
A lot of teams apparently are inquiring about him. He might not bring that much value to you right now as a Bears receiver, but he seems to be being pushed out. And if a team trades for him that is a wide receiver needing team, that would feature him, his numbers are going to spike. Imagine DJ Moore catching from Patrick Mahomes, who needs receivers, Josh Allen, who needs receivers, even Dak, who's healthy, or a healthy Brock Purdy. All these teams need receivers, and DJ Moore is going to be the prime trade candidate for receiver. I absolutely think he will be traded. The trade deadline is November 4th, which is the Tuesday of week 10. So that's the issue you're going to have to face right now is either, can you wait that long? It's going to be a gamble. I think that DJ Moore will be traded. I don't know when. And if you're waiting till week 10 of the season, that might not be, super, super practical to keep a guy on your bench, especially if you need running back help. But that is definitely something to consider because I think he will be traded. And if he gets traded to a wide receiver needy team, he's going to be from a dud to a complete stud. So,
yeah. No, that's a good point.
So I would keep Moore over Henderson. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Moore has more potential. Right. I think this is weird because the running backs that he has are Derrick Henry and Isaiah Pacheco, and I feel like that is going to be good in the long term. May not have been good to start the season. I know that you have your frustrations with Derrick Henry as well.
Derrick Henry's pissing me off, fumbling the ball. Maybe lose 2 straight weeks in Dynasty because the dude can't hold on to the ball. Excuse me. Sorry, I got beat with that dude right now.
In the long run, Henry's going to be fine. Like he'll hold on to the ball, he'll get it figured out. That team still really relies on him, and he's still going to score touchdowns. So I think he'll be fine. Pacheco, I think, is going to get it together and emerge as the RB1 again, and kind of reclaim more of those touches down the stretch.
I'm not sold on the backfield.
I'm not either, but I still think he's the best option that's in the backfield.
Yeah.
So I think that he'll be fine, and I get the hesitation with him, but I'd still be patient with Pacheco. I'm not convinced that TreVeyon Henderson is going to break out this year. It might be next year when he break out. I like him. I think he will be good, but yeah, we don't know for sure, so we'll see. But yeah, as you said, with the trade potential for DJ Moore too, like I would hold on to him, stash him, and see what happens. So
yeah. All right. Finally, our last question, and then we're going to get out of here. My wife's going to kick my butt. This is from Chaz Hazlett. He said, "Why does Kyler Murray hate Marvin Harrison Jr.? What am I supposed to do with Marv?"
I don't think he hates him. I don't think they have beef, but
I think they got beef.
Do you think they got beef? I don't know if they do. I think
Kyler also sucks. So.
That's fair. I think Marv just might have a case of the yips right now. Maybe is the best way of putting it. Catching balls that are wide open and should be caught. Yeah, so I don't know if it's a bad chemistry between Kyler Murray or Marvin Harrison Jr. I just think young player trying to work through things mentally. I think that he'll get through it and bounce back.
I don't know, man. It's so frustrating. I mean, Marvin has 10 catches on 17 targets for 142 yards and 1 touchdown. He added like 20 pounds of muscle this year and was set to become the wide receiver 1 on a team that desperately needs him. And Kyler acts like, he kicked his mom or something before every game. I don't put this blame on Marvin. I put this blame on Kyler. I think Kyler Murray sucks. I understand that Trey McBride is the premier tight end in the NFL and demands the ball as well, but that offense has a wide receiver who they took very high in the draft last year. And they need wide receivers apparently because they're not throwing them the ball. It makes 0 sense. Logic will tell you that Marvin should benefit from James Conner injury. I like Trey Benson coming out of Florida State, and I think they'll eventually be good, but Conner was the better back clearly. Marvin should get more targets, but I can't guarantee that because I just don't like Kyler. So Kyler sucks. Unfortunately, the only startable player on this team right now is Trey McBride. Until Benson can prove it, until, Marvin can show that he's going to get the ball regardless of what, is the reason for that. I got to bench him, and that stinks because I have a lot of shares of Marvin Harrison Jr. So,
yeah, I still believe in the guy.
Of course, yeah.
It might take a few weeks, but I think he'll bounce back and he'll be living up to his potential. I'm going to say give it 3 weeks. And Marvin Harrison will be back to himself.
I can't wait 3 weeks for Marvin Harrison to get back to himself. So
okay.
Real quick, I just want to say that we are sponsored by Inside Edge Network, LV Pre-Productions, and then Monster Moments Photography, monstermomentsphotography.com, MOSSOR momentsphotography.com.
All right. Well, that's all that we have today for the Commissioner's Couch podcast. Thanks for listening. Give us a follow on YouTube, X, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're all over.
Yep. Next Wednesday we'll be live again at 9. Every Wednesday we'll be live at 9. Also, if you want to ask your questions, you can either tweet at us at the Commissioner's Couch on our FMFT post, or just message me or at Dynasty Clee or David at David Cahoon 24, and we will answer those. We really appreciate when you guys contribute and ask those questions. It's a lot of fun. So over 200 people watching live, 4th episode in, and wow. We're very grateful for that. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully you guys kick this week's butt in fantasy, and I'm tired and I need to get off here. So
all right,
thank you very much, and have a good night, and we'll see you next week at 9 on Wednesday.
We'll see you next week.